Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Financially Fit Podcast. I am your host, Andre Creighton. I'm very excited to be here with you all today. As always, I don't know if I've ever entered this show and said, I'm not excited to be with you all here today. Honestly, this truly is one of the highlights of my day. I tend to find myself working from the moment I wake up and I drop my son off at daycare to the moment it's time to pick him up, and then oftentimes again at night. But when I'm with you guys, it doesn't feel like work. So I really, truly do enjoy this. For those that are new to the show, welcome. I hope that you find something fruitful in our podcast today. I want you to know that this is a show where we are going to be maniacal every single day towards our goals. And if we do that, we will reach financial fitness. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Just like you go in the gym and you lift those weights on January 1 with the hope of having larger biceps and a six pack. It doesn't happen overnight. And no, that the same is true with your financial journey. So today we have a really cool topic. I've been doing a lot of research as I do on this show, and I came across an article where it talked about former athletes tend to make between 20 to 40% more than their non-athletic counterparts. Now, when I say non-athletic, doesn't mean that people that weren't former athletes aren't athletic. It means that those that did not participate in athletics um, typically make 20 to 40% less than their counterparts that were athletes. As I was thinking about this, I thought it was very interesting, and as I do with most research that I do, I start to think about how does this correlate with my life, and where do I fit within this? For those that don't know, I was a three-sport athlete in high school. I played football, basketball, and I ran track. And I was fortunate enough to be able to go on to college and play football and basketball my freshman year. I continued to play in football my all 4 years, but just with trying to do two sports in college was very tough on top of trying to get a degree. So I had to let one go. But I was very fortunate to be able to do both. And I credit a lot of who I am today and the values that I hold to my time spent as an athlete. So I want to take you guys back about 20 years ago, right? Yeah, wow, 20 years ago. That's crazy to think about. And I'm thinking back to those times where, I was a 14, 15-year-old kid just entering high school. I was playing football in the fall. I was playing fall league basketball. So I was going from one practice to another. And then winter season would come around. I'd be in full swing in basketball, but I'd be training for baseball. And then spring would come around and I would have baseball practice. I would have track practice for high school. And then I also had AAU traveling basketball. So I was playing three sports at one time in the spring. And, I'm not saying that everyone needs to do that. That's a little extreme. I think my parents found that as a way to kind of keep me out of trouble, to keep me doing something productive and keep me socializing with other individuals. There's a multitude of reasons why they had me involved in athletics. And also just because I loved it. Everything that I enjoyed growing up had to do around athletics and sports. And honestly, till this day, that has been a lot of my life as well. I still enjoy watching sports. I've been a high school football coach for a very long time since graduating from college. But as I was thinking about this article, I was thinking about the things that being a part of athletics teach you. One, it teaches you how to be punctual. It teaches you how to get over the mental load, right? Oftentimes, our mind tells us that we can't do things when they're tough. So it teaches us how to get over that adversity. It teaches us competition. It teaches us how to communicate and work with others. There's so many life lessons that come from playing sports, and I wholeheartedly believe that those things that I learned have allowed me to become the person I am and to get to the point in my life where I am a CFO of a company and that I've been able to be on various boards and being able to connect with people and network. Without those experiences, I likely would not have had might not be where I am today. Also thinking about, when I started my company back in 2020. Who knows if I would have been in college if I wasn't motivated by sports, right? But being that I was motivated by sports, I continued on my journey to get my college degree. I met a lot of great people along the way, and a lot of those great people that I met in college along the way were are the same people that became investors in my company. So you never know what you're doing today and the byproduct that's going to come out of that in the future. So I leave all that to say that I do think that people that are involved, I won't even say athletics, involved at all, whether that is in sports, whether that's a part of being on the chess club, whether that's a part of doing something in the community. Um, we are in a society today where um, COVID has set us back quite a bit from a social standpoint. Um, from a social standpoint, a lot of teenagers are not as social as those that were coming from my generation. They don't necessarily know how to communicate with individuals, can't look people in the face in their eyes when they're talking to them. They just seem a little less confident from a social perspective. And I also think the technology gives into that as well. We're moving into an environment where a lot of people are talking over a screen. I think about, for instance, this podcast. While it's convenient for me to be sitting in my home and being able to talk to you all through a podcast, think about back in the day where you had to go into a studio to record, or if you had someone on your show, you couldn't just log into a Zoom or into uh, uh, a digital site to be able to record it. You actually had to sit face to face with that person and actually have a tangible, real conversation with the person across from you. I think those days will continue, but I also think that we're moving further and further away from that. I think we'll still see some semblance of that, but um, as we continue down this path of a digital society and thinking about how AI is going to play into society, the challenge to be able to get the required skills that you need, those soft skills is what they call them, to be successful in this world, are going to be tougher. And I think that those are the pieces that are going to set people apart. Um, Everyone's getting the degrees now. Everyone is a lot of people are going to have the expertise on how to work AI and how to navigate whatever field of work that they're in. But what separates those people is the ability to connect. And that is the one thing that will always separate the really, really top excelling individuals in this world and those that are not. Their ability to connect with people and build relationships. That's something that can't be taught or done with your expertise or book smarts. That's something that has to be learned and developed over time by actually practicing over and over again. I know that there's a famous clip going back to my love for sports of Allen Iverson, and he was known to skip practice. And there was a game. There's He was being criticized for skipping practice, and he goes on to this on this rant where he's saying, "Practice? We're talking about practice, not a game. We're talking about practice." And the reason why I bring that up is because I look at a lot of my life as a practice every day, practice every day, practice every day, and then I have a game. Um, when I prepare for this podcast, I'm doing my research. I'm thinking about, what my next topic is, and I'm practicing and honing in on my talking points. And that's my practice, practice, practice. Right now, I'm in the game. It's game time. All right. And that's how we need to think about our life is what are we doing every single day to continue to hone our skills through practice and practice and practice. And then when it's time for the game, when it's time for you to elevate to that next role or to that next salary adjustment or whatever it may be, you're prepared for it because you've put in the work and you've practiced. The last thing I will mention is um, this is also a byproduct from my sports days. When I was a 15-year-old, I had left Cretin-Derham Hall, which is a pretty prominent private school here in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I had moved on to a public school called Harding. Um, Not very known for sports. Didn't really necessarily have a great record. for academically. They did have an IB program, which I did take IB, which um, had helped. But needless to say, when I transferred there, I started playing sports at a very high level at the varsity level. I met a guy named John O'Connell, who was my wide receiver coach. At that time, he was the director of marketing for the Minnesota Timberwolves. We obviously became really close over the years, and developed a really long-standing relationship up until a couple years ago when he tragically took his own life. Um, but the reason why I bring up John and I bring up sports is because I remember at 15, 16 years old, John would get me tickets to a game, or he'd invite me to a suite with his business partners and people in the business community that he knew. He would bring me around whenever he was hosting things at his house, whether that was to help with people that were coming by, or either to be a part of it and just network. And I would tell you that networking at 15, 16 years old with very high level people, what society deems as high level people, that are doing some really cool things in the world, changed my trajectory. It prepared me for what was to come in this life as I'm building my career. And I'm so very thankful for that. Had I not been involved in sports, I might not have had that opportunity. So the moral of the story today is this: we have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We have to be willing to practice every day being uncomfortable and putting ourselves in positions to grow. If we do the same things that we always do, day after day after day, because it's comfortable, then there's no growth, and we're doing ourselves a disservice. So I encourage you to, if you're that person that's striving for that next role or striving for that next promotion and you just can't seem to get over the hump, do something that you haven't done before. Dig deep and look into what your weaknesses are. We all have them. I have plenty of weaknesses still and always will. And the more that we can continue to hone in on those weaknesses and to continue to try to move them to strengths, um, the more that we are going to better position ourselves for that next role or that next promotion. So, with that being said, get involved, find ways to be uncomfortable, and do everything you can to practice, practice, practice every single day for that next game. As I always say, it's not about how much money you make, the power is in how much money you keep. Thank you so much for being here with me. I am your host, Andre Creighton. I will see you all on the next episode of the Financially Fit Podcast.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
When you saw an opportunity, you built a business around it. And every day since, you've kept a sharp eye on ways to evolve and keep your business thriving. It takes courage, creativity, and a clear perspective. At Bremer Bank, we understand that your business is the result of your hard work and ingenuity. And we're here to support you with solutions when you spot an opportunity to grow. Work with Bremer Bank, because understanding is everything.